Hey, Marshall Ramsey here, editor-at-large for Mississippi Today. Welcome to another edition of Mississippi Stories. And we got a good one here today, we really do. I know he's world famous and you don't even know it yet. We got Taylor Vance is with us. He's a native of Grenada. It's very good. I always love stopping in Grenada on my way to Oxford, so it's a great place. I got my first COVID shot there, so it was exciting.
I hope you have a little bit of better memory of Grenada than getting a shot in you.
Oh, okay.
But I'm glad
good people are from there.
Yes.
That's the point.
Yes,
it's
yes,
a good
yes.
place.
Most people who are familiar, most people who are not from Grenada, but who know something about it, are usually associate Spencer's ice cream store and Grenada Lake with the town. But yes, I'm glad. I'm a proud native of Grenada.
Excellent as well. And of course, you cover state government and statewide elections here for Mississippi Today, but you were also at the Mississippi Daily Journal before you were with us, and I was a big fan and admirer of your work there, as I am here too. And I thank you for joining us. You're a graduate at the University of Mississippi and Holmes Community College.
That's right.
And I was just going to ask you this. I knew when I was 8 years old. I was like, okay. I walked up to my dad and I said, I want to be an editorial cartoonist. Because I was a weird little kid, right? Because I loved politics. I loved, because Jimmy Carter was running for president, and I'm old. And so that was really a cool thing. But I was just kind of always wondered, I always like to find out when folks, it's like, when did you know that you wanted to do this?
I don't know if there's really a clear answer. I can look back, on my childhood and see that there are certain tendencies that I had maybe as a kid that have served me well now.
Yes.
I think my mom would probably hate to admit this, but as a kid, whenever I would ask my mom why, and her response was, because I told you so. I always hated that response. I have always kind of thought that people in power should be able to explain why they're doing or why they believe something. And so that has kind of that has sort of stuck with me throughout my life. But I've always enjoyed reading, always enjoyed writing. At one point I thought I might, want to go into politics, and there was kind of I think an epiphany, a moment, sort of when I was in high school or in the early stages of college, that I think were candidates running in a certain race, and I'm not going to name any specific names, but they were the talking points and what some of the candidates were saying. I thought, this doesn't make a difference to the average person in Mississippi. I mean, what these people are saying has no impact, and these are not real issues that are really being discussed in everyday families. And I just thought, why would I really want to go into politics when I can kind of work on the other side and ask tough questions? And so that was kind of really, I think, that light bulb moment for me kind of early in college.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing. In high school, I was like, I really like politics. I was involved in, local elections and stuff like that. And then I drew one cartoon about the librarian at our school that got a policy change. And I'm like, oh, I'm hooked forever.
Hooked.
Yeah, and that was the last cartoon I've ever done that made a difference.
Yeah.
So, but that was a long time ago. But with you, what story do you remember that you've done that just the first one that made a huge difference, and you're like, okay, I'm hooked?
That's tough. I don't know if there's really something really in my professional career, but I think Adam could probably speak to this. Our colleague Dave Nabose can speak to this. I really got hooked when I became an editor or on the editorial staff of the Daily Mississippian in college. And it was, I don't know if there was really anything that I thought really made a difference, but it was such a fascinating time when I was enrolled there to be a student journalist. You had a lot of change going on. You had a lot of different factions. You had basketball players knelt once during the national anthem.
That's right.
There were efforts to relocate the Confederate monument on campus. There was a lot of debate over the namesake of the journalism school. when I was there, and just a lot of different kind of factionalism. And I thought that it was kind of representative of the state, representative of the country, and it was a fascinating time to get to report on fierce debates that were going on. And I think, I don't know if that was really any change, but like that I had caused, or a moment of impact or anything. But that was it was fascinating to kind of be on the front lines of a lot of debate and a lot of movement happening.
Well, speaking of fierce debates,
Yeah.
and that's why we're here today.
Yeah.
I mean, number one, he's a very interesting guy, so it's like that. But
Appreciate that.
speaking of interesting, coming up next Wednesday,
Mhm.
is it the 1st? Yeah.
Yep,
Next.
first.
God, it's hard to believe that.
I know.
So Wednesday, November 1st, at Hal Mal's, Mississippi Today is going to be presenting the 2023 Gubernatorial Watch Party. And we'll be live streaming the debate between the gubernatorial candidates, Tate Reeves and of course Brandon Presley, who you've been covering both. And so basically, we will have all Mississippi Today's journalists there as well. So after the debate, then the journalists, all of you will get up on stage and you will talk about some of the issues that we've been talking about. It's really a smart way to watch the debate, and a less smart way to watch the debate, because I will be there as well, and I will be drawing a live cartoon during the debate. So if somebody says something particularly stupid, then I will draw a cartoon about that, as I am one to do. But it's going to be a great experience. That'll be, like I said, Wednesday, November 1st at Hal Mal's, downtown Jackson. And also, so the doors will be open at 6 o'clock. The debate, of course, starts at 7, so you don't want to be late, obviously. And there will be an Eventbrite link in the bottom in the description of this video so that you can RSVP. It's free, but we want you to RSVP so that we know you're coming as well. The debate, it's hard to believe because there has been so much fight over, because number one, I mean, I remember, from the last election, that Tate didn't really want to debate number one, incumbents never want to debate.
Sure.
I mean, I don't recall Delbert, jumping up and saying, hey, Chris, let's go have 50 debates around the state. It's just, it never really serves the purpose of an incumbent to get up there, because then you can make gaffes or whatever issue on that. And Tate, no offense to Tate, but I mean, Tate's not the world's strongest debater on top of that. He's just his stage presence. But that's my opinion, not Taylor. But the point is of it, I mean, he did agree finally to this one debate, and it's WAPT is doing an excellent job. MPB is going to be spreading it around the state, so that's good as well. Number one, were you surprised that there was only one debate? Were you hoping for more?
Yeah. So, like you said, before there was ever an agreed debate, or before we've even had the debate, there's been a lot of debate about the debate.
Yeah.
As kind of there always is now, kind of in modern times, which I think is a little unfortunate. It seems like candidates now have to do this back and forth, where one candidate has to throw out dates, the other candidate has to reject all of those dates and then have their own slate of dates, and then there's this back and forth on who's going to blink first, because we all have to be tough and we can't be seen as giving in now, and which I think is a little unfortunate. But yes, so I was a little surprised that there was only one debate, or that there will be only one debate. What happened is Brandon Presley, the Democratic nominee, I think had agreed to about five different debates. The governor was pretty quiet, and then at a press conference he said, well, I'm sure there will be debates, plural, that there would be multiple debates. And then everyone thought that, oh, well, okay, it sounds like you're agreeing to participate in several. Well, then, sort of out of nowhere, the governor proposed November 1st, which really wasn't debate that Commissioner Presley had suggested. November 1st, that is would be a week, less than a week before the actual election. We have absentee voting going on now, and I think Commissioner Presley was a little upset. He thought that people deserved a debate earlier, instead of kind of at the last minute. But as the challenger, as a Democrat running in Mississippi, I don't think Brandon is really in much of a position to
even make coffee.
Right. So I think he will sort of agree to whatever he can
Right.
and participate in the debate. But yes, I think it was a little unfortunate that we're only getting one.
Yeah.
If you look in Kentucky, the other one of other two states that has gubernatorial elections right now, I believe the incumbent there, Andy Beshear, who is a Democrat, I believe he's participated in 3, maybe
Wow.
maybe even more with the Republican challenger there. So there are certainly other elections going on right now where an incumbent has agreed to more than one debate.
Well, as we're speaking right now, Hobnob's going on, for
Yes.
instance. And so a lot of the statewide candidates have decided that this was going to be their only quote unquote debate, even though there was no debate to it on that. What has been, like I said, what has been the resistance of a lot of the statewides?
Well, I think, sort of conventional wisdom is if you're an incumbent who is ahead in the polls, why would you participate in a debate and give basically your opponent, your challenger, more airtime and more free name ID?
Right.
And that's just kind of the truth. You can, people can say that that's good, that's bad, it's bad for democracy, bad for the state, that we don't have a robust exchange of ideas. That's just kind of the reality of where we are.
We live in a world now too where everything is recorded and everything can be cut up in little pieces and everything else. So you never, if you have one slight gaffe, man, they can pull it out and make a whole 30-second ad out of it.
Right.
And do on that. Looking into this debate, and obviously we've seen, you've been covering, how many miles have you driven, by the way?
Don't know. I've had to get oil changed on my car, I think 3 times since the campaign cycle. I've had 2 new tires put on my car. So I don't know, but it's been a lot.
Eating a lot of fast food.
Filed stories from a lot of McDonald's and Starbucks, and
because they got the Wi-Fi.
That's right. Drink a lot of mediocre gas station coffee. A lot of Red Bulls. So
but they got good fried chicken though.
That's right.
That's right. So you can at least eat well on that. But like I said, you put a lot of miles in. You've seen a lot of issues on that. Talk about, you have a pretty good sense about what's going to be talked about in the debate. Kind of give us a preview of the preview.
Sure. We might even print out some bingo cards at the watch party for the attendees. But I don't think there would be too many surprises of what they would talk about. Of course, we don't know what the moderators are going to ask, but I would expect that Commissioner Presley would criticize Governor Tate Reeves on the welfare scandal.
That's right.
And try to link him to that. I think that he would also criticize the governor for his refusal to expand Medicaid. And I think those would probably be the 2 primary points of attack from his standpoint. Now, on the other side of the coin, I think the governor would probably try to link Commissioner Presley to national Democrats that don't poll very favorably in Mississippi. You see his ad right now, it says Biden, Benny, and Brandon for linking him with President Biden and Mississippi Congressman Benny Thompson. So I think you're going to see that. You are going to see the governor also try and say that that Commissioner Presley supports gender-affirming care for transgender youth, even though I think the commissioner has tried to kind of push back on that and say, no, I'm not really in favor of that. I think those are kind of going to be the 2 main points of attack, but I think you can expect healthcare and Medicaid expansion to be a major focus of the debate. Allegations of corruption from both, or sort of pay-to-play or unethical operations, like the solar ad, like the welfare scandal, or both probably take.
Those will probably come up. We might hear the word liberal a couple times.
You might hear the word liberal.
You'll hear TANF.
You will hear TANF. You're going to hear Gavin Newsom probably. The liberals or outside liberals are funding Presley's campaign. So Yeah.
How long is it? I mean, is it an hour-long debate?
I believe it's an hour.
It's an hour long. Okay, yeah, on that. And so both on the stage. And like I said, I remember, gosh, the one, I guess Bill Waller was the last one I really remember too much, and then Jim Hood on that. So it'll be interesting to see, of course, the governor, was in the Neshoba County Fair, and he was pretty on that, pretty forceful on his views on that, and now they're on the ads and so forth. What on this campaign has surprised you? What wasn't a surprise? I mean, right now the polls, the one poll that we reported on was the fact that the race is still fairly close.
Yeah, I think our colleague Bobby Harrison has published a really good analysis that the polling this year will track or has tracked where Jim Hood was polling, similar polling. Jim Hood from 2019, the Democratic nominee came up short by about 45,000 votes. So the big question is what will happen on election day, since it's sort of following those same metrics.
Will there be a big turnout on the coast, and that'll help Tate?
Sure.
It depends on the weather, and since it does not rain in Mississippi anymore, so that I think there has a good chance. African American turnout, I think that'll matter. I've noticed it seems like Brandon Presley's been working really hard to try to get that turnout as well.
Sure. I mean, as I've said kind of from the beginning, I mean, the governor has really one kind of primary focus, and that is to defend his record. That's right. And that is to show that his record has worked and has delivered achievable results over the past 4 years, as any incumbent has to do.
Right.
Brandon Presley's job has to poke holes in that record and show that he has been ineffective, and Brandon has to offer some alternative solutions and how to move the state forward. And that will probably be what you see at the debate. But I think what has surprised me is, that the race is a little tight. But I think it's surprised me is that how Governor Reeves has polled. And that even though you have various polls who could show by how big of a margin the governor is leading Brandon Presley. I think our poll that we did in collaboration with Siena College has shown one time he was leading by 11 points. There have been others to show he's leading by 3. I believe the Democratic Governors Association, said that, or recently released a poll that showed the governor's only leading Brandon Presley by 1 point.
So you're in the margin of error at that point. Yeah.
Sure, but what has surprised me is the governor really has hovered from about 48% to about 51%.
Yeah.
It's not an ideal place for an incumbent Republican governor in a deep South state like Mississippi.
Bryant did much higher at the time.
To be in, yes. They can criticize me.
Of course, he's running against a truck driver, so that's a different.
They can criticize me for saying this. They can project that we're trying to create hysteria where there isn't. I don't care. By whatever metric you say, that's not a good place for an incumbent governor to be. Right. And I would suspect that they are a little worried about that. Now, with all that being said, polling is polling. It doesn't translate into actual votes. Right. We will not know what the polling shows we will not know if that mirrors, actual votes and ballots cast until the evening of the election.
That's right.
But what has surprised me is if no candidate receives a majority of the votes cast, we're going to a runoff election.
Right.
And because you have
there's still an extra name on the ballot too.
There is an extra name on the ballot, and even though that candidate has since
pulled out.
Well, sort of. She has thrown her support behind Brandon Presley and has said that she no longer wants the office. Her name will still appear on the ballot.
That's right.
And so, if enough people vote for her for whatever reason, it could force a runoff election, which would be the first time that Mississippi has ever had a runoff election for governor in its history. And so, I think that's what has surprised me the most.
So, I'm about to say that would make my hair hurt if we ran a runoff. I do, it'd be nice to get it.
Tell me about it.
Nice to get it over with and so forth on that. I said early on with my cartoons, like I said, Tate's got that R behind his name, and that's a big advantage. And of course, also too, he's always had a lot of money in his war chest, and it shows with the number of commercials that we're seeing on the television right now. Don't watch Wheel of Fortune right now, because it's like you're going to see all strictly ads at this point. It's like, can I buy a vowel? It's like, no, liberals buy vowels. It's like, it's like, all right. Any other preview thoughts about the debate? Anything style, substance, or anything like that you're expecting?
You know, I don't like to view a debate as like winners and losers. I mean, you know, it's not a boxing match.
Yeah.
It is a debate where robust policy should be discussed, and where lives actually do matter, and lives will be impacted by an election. But I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what the goals are for each candidate, and if the candidates believe that they accomplish those goals.
Right.
As you said, you know, the governor is not a gifted retail politician. He's not a gifted speaker. He has other talents, but you know, speaking is really not one of them. He even admitted that at the Neshoba County Fair. So really, the governor needs to just hold his own, really, in a debate, and he needs to I would say his goal should probably be to stop kind of the alarm bells, stop the hysteria, and try and stem the message that this is a close race or that he's in trouble.
Yeah.
That should probably be his primary objective, and to try and at least just hold his own in blocking Brandon Presley from criticizing his record too much. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, Brandon is an effective speaker. You can say a lot of things about him and criticize him for a lot of things, but his speaking ability is not one of them.
Right.
Someone who has covered him at Jaceno, in North Mississippi before, covered him at the Neshoba County Fair. He's great on the stump. So it will be interesting to see if Brandon will live up to that hype. I would say there's a lot of expectation for him to perform well at this debate. He only has one shot. Yeah. And he can't really squander it. And so there will be an expectation for him to perform, and he has to meet that in order to continue the narrative and to continue the perception that he is competitive right now in this election.
I know, just watching Tate Reeves' social media, he has been busy. He's been on the road a lot, and that means you've been on the road a lot. And
That's
so
right.
I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and give us a preview. You will be there, of course, as will I. And just once again, to give you the details, we're going to be presenting a 2023 Gubernatorial Watch Party. That'll be live. We'll be live streaming the debate, but then afterwards, the Mississippi Today team of journalists, we're going to kind of analyze what we saw and what we heard on that, and I'll be drawing a live cartoon as well. So it's coming up Wednesday, November 1st. Doors open at 6 o'clock. The debate starts at 7 at Hal Mal's in downtown Jackson. So come, there's going to be a link at the bottom of this video to Eventbrite where you can click. It's free of charge. We just want to know that you're going to be heading there as well. And so anyway, look forward to seeing you. Thank you for watching. Taylor, thank you so much. Good to catch up with you. I always love talking politics with you and so forth. You've done a great job covering things. I'm sorry that you had to get 2 new tires.
That's
part of it. That's tough stuff right there. At least you hadn't hit a deer or had your windshield broken.
That's right.
Which are the other 2 things. That's right. You know, but you can't truly understand Mississippi driving from your house to your office. You have to get out there, and you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
I appreciate it. Hey, thank you for watching another episode of Mississippi Stories, and we'll be back again next week. But if you want to watch any past episodes or this one again, you can go to MississippiToday.org and also check out our great coverage, a few cartoons as well. So MississippiToday.org. Hey, thanks. And if you like this video, once again, you can hit the like button. We'll see you next week. I'm Marshall Ramsey. Y'all have a good week.
Thank you.